Your first news of the night starts right now. This is West Dakota Fox News at 9.
These terrorists have now taken him at age 11 and a half. They have no idea what they took when they got him.
Kiran Shafritza of Washington, D.C. was studying in Sri Lanka and was on the elevator when a bomb struck his hotel and took his life. His father's heart now broken, and he's not alone. A country, a world broken and confused after more than 300 people lost their lives on Easter Sunday to deadly terrorist attacks. Communities trying to make sense of the senseless tragedy.
The children, small children, what do they know? I can't understand. Are these people humans? They are not humans, they are animals.
New details today confirm ISIS is claiming responsibility for the attacks. The terror group released a video this morning showing these 8 men behind me, who are all suspected Sri Lankan attackers, pledging allegiance to ISIS. Benjamin Hall tells us this supports officials' theories.
More than 300 killed, hundreds injured. And now we're learning more about the motive behind the Easter Sunday terror attacks in Sri Lanka. On Tuesday, ISIS made 2 separate claims of responsibility and also identified the attackers. Officials say it's more evidence that the local militant group behind the attack, which is thought to be inspired by ISIS, had help from abroad.
With 6 bombs within 30 minutes, the coordination, quite frankly, of this attack and the sophistication, the Sri Lankan government believes that there's international help.
Sri Lankan officials also say the bombings were retaliation for last month's mosque attacks in Christchurch, New Zealand, but offered no evidence to support the claim. Meanwhile, lawmakers are urging a swift crackdown on extremist groups across the country.
We should take swift measures to ban these types of Islamic extremist groups, and their members should be brought before the law.
The military has already arrested more than 3 dozen people after being given emergency powers following the attacks.
We are trying to apprehend them. People who are on the run. So far, we've been successful in apprehending many of them.
For the most part, Sri Lankans seem to be supporting the military and the emergency declaration, especially the Christian community, many of whom say they fear more attacks could be coming.
We need more security, actually. And they are also now afraid to go to church.
The government is also considering a major security shake-up after officials failed to heed warnings of an imminent attack. In London, Benjamin Hall, Fox News.
Well, looks like there's going to be a shakeup in our weather this week too, Kevin.
Yeah, there really is. By the end of this week, Anna, and into the weekend, we're going to see some big-time changes where we're not going to be in the 70s and even 60s, but more like 50s and even 40s for daytime highs. And plenty of cloud cover starting Saturday, so the weekend, and into early next week. Still several days away. Still a bit of time here that we get to enjoy these mild temperatures, but changes, no doubt, in the offing. Burn ban restrictions. Now, this is one area that we need to see some improvement. Many counties here in North Dakota have burn ban restrictions, and within several other counties that aren't county-wide, municipalities have burn bans so in other areas. So just be mindful of this and check with local law enforcement, local fire departments to see what the conditions are like legally in your exact location. Our weather in motion for tomorrow morning: dry for most areas, but a chance for a shower in southern Canada and also in eastern Montana, but a better chance for rain again by the end of this week. Anna, more on that coming up a little bit later.
Well, it sounds good, Kevin.
Yeah.
Well, on Friday, as thousands were flying home for Easter, Sun Country Flight 8203 to Laughlin hit a snag. Well, John Salling joins us now with the details.
A bird strike at the Bismarck airport is leaving the plane grounded for more than a week.
This plane has been grounded at the Bismarck airport until repairs are finished.
Clear to land, Sun Country 8203.
While on a landing run at the Bismarck airport, the plane hit a large bird.
I got some sad news for Sun Country 8203. We just hit a bald eagle. We're okay. Okay, roger, and I'll get more information on the ground here.
Sun Country sent a statement saying, after taxiing to the gate, the crew inspected the right wing and found damage. We sent an aircraft from MSP to continue on with the passengers, and the plane departed Bismarck for Laughlin at 11:40 p.m. A team is being brought in from Boeing to repair the plane.
Sun Country anticipates the plane will be ready to fly again late next week.
Thanks, John. Well, hearing of movements on a bridge can be unsettling. And tonight, the Bismarck City Commission heard a report on the Century Avenue Hay Creek Bridge. Now, it was built in 2007 and a study began in 2016. After 2 years of measurements, the report finds the bridge itself isn't moving, but the embankments connecting to it are settling more rapidly than expected. Now, this isn't dangerous, but it could cost the taxpayers.
Repair is a pretty strong word here. When you repair something, you would expect it to stay repaired for a while, and in this case, repairs could last anywhere from 1 year to 3 or 4 years, depending on how much future movement you're going to get.
One option the study provides is to replace the embankments with bridge spans. And Bismarck City Commissioners are considering changing the city liquor licensing, but it's causing controversy. The biggest dispute is about 2 regulated licenses, classes D and E. The available number of each license depends on census data. Well, current license holders are happy because their licenses are valued at hundreds of thousands of dollars on the private market, but it's discouraging new businesses. Commissioners were expected to discuss the next steps tonight, and they want to find some middle ground.
She's helping so many more people that she'll ever even know, and that's made the whole thing worth it.
Well, that was Ryan Struby, whose daughter Natalie inspired new legislation that Governor Burgum signed today. Natalie was raped when she was 4 years old by a 13-year-old who was only sentenced to probation and therapy. Natalie's mother says she felt let down by the justice system and was often left in the dark. Natalie's law works to create more access and information for parents of victims in the juvenile court system. The process was painful but therapeutic for the family and sparked a new friendship.
With an issue that is that private, you have to learn their story, you have to meet their family, you have to understand not only what happened, but how it's affected their life.
And there was also a win today for advocates pushing for funding to help human trafficking victims. The legislature cut their 2015-2017 budget and wanted to make additional cuts this biennium. After hearing from victim service providers like YouthWorks, they settled on $1.4 million, up about $200,000 from 2015. YouthWorks says this will help them continue to serve victims of human trafficking and domestic violence. And legislators are trying to reduce taxes for tens of thousands of North Dakotans. The Social Security bill would save about 30,000 people about $250 per year. And the gaming tax bill would lower what charities have to pay for e-pull tap machines and add money to help gambling addiction. Some say an interim study to look at all gaming, including sports betting, is the most important part of the bill.
The numbers are staggering how many people are playing e-pull tabs. So we need to wrap our arms around all the gaming as a whole.
Doctor says the purpose of the study isn't to look exclusively at how to bring for-profit gambling to the state, but it will be a part of it. And the House members who walked out of a conference committee yesterday while discussing the governor's office budget unanimously passed the bill today, as did the Senate. Now, while the main topic was to be the Theodore Roosevelt Library, the major sticking point became about making the governor accept a salary. So an amended bill removes a section allowing him to deny it.
We want to advance that objective, and whether the governor takes his salary or not is not anywhere close to being as important as that project.
I think it has a lot to do with what happens in the future governorships. It also has to do with future running for the governor position and those type of activities in the future. And to us, there's no reason why you shouldn't take it.
The House will vote on it tomorrow. Well, there was some excitement at the Heritage Center as well today. North Dakota Highway Patrol officers detained a man for trying to assault one of the security officers who received minor injuries. Troopers found no weapons in the suspect's vehicle before it was towed today. NDHP also says there was no danger to the governor, the lieutenant governor, or first lady, and no extra security measures were put into place. But there is an ongoing investigation. The man was taken to Sanford Hospital for further evaluation. Well, almost 3 years ago, a wrongful death lawsuit was filed by the parents of a young informant found in the Red River. But will it go to trial? John and Tammy Sadek sued the Richland County Sheriff's Department for failing to reasonably supervise and train their son, Andrew, to perform undercover operations, resulting in his untimely death. Defense attorneys say the claims don't hold up and called for a dismissal. Well, after a nearly 2-hour hearing today, the judge has yet to issue a decision. Well, jury selection has begun in the trial of a Minot man accused in a sex sting in 2016. Prosecutors say 59-year-old William Wallace arranged online to meet with a 16-year-old girl, but he was actually corresponding with a police officer. Wallace pleaded guilty and was ordered to serve 18 months, but the state Supreme Court ruled he could withdraw his plea. A West Fargo school resource officer has been awarded law enforcement's version of a Purple Heart. It's given to officers who are seriously injured or wounded in the line of duty. Well, back in October, Officer Dora Roll saw a man push a woman into the street and then take off. Roll caught him, but he resisted and fell on Roll's leg and broke her ankle. Even so, she held on to the man, and another person helped bring him into custody. And Senior Master Sergeant Chris Edgerton was awarded the Bronze Star Medal at Minot Air Force Base today for his meritorious achievement in Afghanistan. He led the largest Afghan Security Forces squadron in combat support operations, where he trained, advised, and assisted the host nation partners, which led to securing a large battle space which protected 10,000 personnel and 71 combat aircraft. He also built the first Afghan Security Forces Train the Trainer course, which provided vital self-sustaining training operations. Well, a piece of North Dakota and Native American history went up in flames. More on that after the break.
And not looking bad this evening. The wind has died down. It's pleasant, as you can see here with our live Dickinson Skywatch camera. But there are changes coming. Details next.
The North Dakota Firefighters Association says grain bin accidents are more likely to happen during warmer weather. Jordan Verdadero spoke with the training director on grain bin extrication and rescue and the importance of the class.
Rob Knuth, training director at NDFA, says in the past 10 years, there's been about 7 grain bin rescues in the state. He says he believes grain bin extrication and rescue is something every emergency responder should get training on.
Never even knew it was an issue. I'm not from North Dakota originally, but you know, you drive through North Dakota, you can see the grain bins everywhere.
Chris DeMello-Rice of Bismarck Rural Fire says the class can last about 6 to 8 hours and says the most important aspect of this training is
to be prepared for anything, really. I mean, we talked before that this could be just a recovery. We hope for a rescue, but sometimes we're too late.
Knuth says the Firefighters Association uses a scaled-down version of what farmers or grain elevator operators would be dealing with, and each responder is assigned to a different part of the rescue mission.
Well, the grain bin will hold 400 bushels. Right now we have about 100 to do this demonstration, but typically we get anywhere between 350 to 400 bushels to get the realistic atmosphere of a rescue.
Knuth says rescuers need to understand that if they do not follow procedures, there is a good chance that there will be injuries. In Bismarck, I'm Jordan Verdadero reporting for your news leader.
A nearly century-old church on the Fort Berthold Reservation that held sentimental value was destroyed in a fire on Monday. It was relocated from Elbow Woods, a town now underwater after constructing the Garrison Dam, and was completely destroyed by the time the partial fire crew arrived on scene around 10 a.m. Monday morning. One woman was on her way back from Bismarck when she heard the devastating news.
I just drove right up there and seen it, and it was already burned all the way down, and it was just heartbreaking. I just had to just cry because it was so sad.
The cause of the fire is still under investigation. With these dry conditions, burn bans are going into effect, as Kevin said. Pierce County just issued a fire emergency and burn ban effective immediately through October 1st. The ban includes burning garbage, farmland, or structures, as well as for recreation. Grills and enclosed fire pits are allowed if they're at least 15 feet from vegetation. Violators could face up to 30 days in jail and a $1,500 fine. Well, high winds are often detrimental to firefighting, but it also gave this mobile home some grief this afternoon, as seen in this dash cam footage. North Dakota Highway Patrol says today's gusty conditions caused Daryl Coleman's semi to sway and a mobile home section to disconnect and travel into the ditch on I-94 near Mandan. It sparked a grass fire, which was quickly extinguished, and no one was injured. Well, those winds sure were howling today, Kevin.
We had winds around 40 miles per hour at times, which, if conditions are just right, maybe the wind funneling a little bit here, we may have had gusts closer to 50 miles per hour, but the wind has really subsided quite a bit now. Not so much wind for the evening time frame, and overnight maybe 10 to 20 miles per hour. All right, thunderstorms in Texas around us. We're dry. A couple showers popping up here on regional radars, the Canadian radar network, but not so much across the northern tier of the country. We're dry for now. Maybe an isolated shower threat tomorrow afternoon, but most areas will be rain-free for a couple more days. Our temperatures right now, we're still at 69 degrees in the Bismarck area, 57 in Dickinson, 64 in Williston, and Minot 62 degrees, so widespread 50s and 60s with winds nowhere near as strong as it was earlier today, only around 5 to 15 miles per hour. And this holds true the remainder of the night, and even for tomorrow, the winds won't be picking up much more than between about 10 and 20 miles per hour as an average. We do have a cool front sweeping through into the night for tomorrow as well, and that means temperatures will be a little bit cooler. We won't see the widespread 70s for tomorrow as we had for today in many areas. Instead, we're going to see mostly 60s for highs. And again, North Dakota, dry for the most part, but scattered showers here back toward Montana. At best, we're looking at most every area staying dry. It'll be a much better chance for some rain coming into the region by Friday, and certainly for Saturday and Sunday. Just in time for the weekend, but we actually do need a little bit of moisture. One place they don't need it is down towards southern South Dakota, Nebraska, and Iowa. That is where we'll see pockets up to about 2 inches. But for us, it's more of a steady, light rain for the course of the weekend. A lot of cloud cover and periods of drizzle, periods of light rain, and even a chance for some snow mixing with some of that rain into the overnight and early morning time frame, both Saturday and Sunday morning. So a large area of this darker green shade, that's about 1/4 of an inch up to 1/2 of an inch. Again, this is a 5-day or well, technically a 7-day forecast here. So not any one big system on the way, but a repetitious pattern of light to moderate rain. Mainly light rain can be expected starting this weekend into early next week. But we're dry tomorrow. Again, most areas will be in the 60s, although Bismarck still at 72 degrees, 73 in Mobridge, Aberdeen at 77. 7-day forecast here. Not a bad day tomorrow. Thursday, breezy, a little cooler, 65. And then widespread 50s for Friday. A chance for showers out west by Friday afternoon, entering western North Dakota, but a better chance for everybody to see rain, clouds, low clouds, and maybe a little bit of wind as well for Saturday and Sunday, and a chance, Anna, for some of that rain mixing with snow overnight and early in the morning. Accumulations will be fairly light.
All right, well, look out for it, Kevin.
Yeah.
Well, up next, one of the most important Supreme Court cases began today. It's a question of a question. Well, the Supreme Court heard arguments in a high-profile case, a citizenship question on 2020 census forms. The White House saying it's vital to enforcing the Voting Rights Act, but lower courts saying they're overstepping authority. Lauren Blanchard reports.
It's not about a line on a form. It's about whether or not everyone in America counts.
4 Supreme Court justices pressing the Solicitor General to explain why the Trump administration wants to add the question, is this person a citizen of the United States, to the upcoming survey. The left-leaning justices citing Census Bureau experts who say the question could cause an undercount of some 6.5 million people. Conservative justices, on the other hand, asking whether the question alone would cause the census to be inaccurate, with Chief Justice John Roberts noting other questions, such as a person's sex and age, are also included.
He wants to know who's in this country, and I think as a sovereign nation, we have that right. It's been a question that's been on the census for decades.
A citizenship question has not been included since 1950. The administration would like to add it back in as a way to enforce the Voting Rights Act. Opponents highlight the fact that it is illegal for the Census Bureau to disclose any private information which identifies any individuals.
You don't have to be a conspiracy theorist to be concerned that if that data is out there, it could pose a risk to you.
U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services are also saying undocumented immigrants are caught using, selling, or working in the pot industry could be denied citizenship. Officials say even if it's legal in the state they're living in, they could fail the good moral character prerequisite, since marijuana is still illegal at the federal level. About 2/3 of U.S. states have legalized medical marijuana, and 10 states allow recreational use. In North Dakota, legislators are also discussing marijuana, and all sides seem to agree they should lower penalties for possession of small amounts, but just need to settle on the level of offense. The House voted down a decriminalization bill in the first half of the session. The Senate revived the idea with amendments on a bill about drug paraphernalia. Bismarck Senator Mike Dwyer says a ballot measure may come forward, but they have to legislate good policy, not potential measures. And for the first time ever, a pharmaceutical company and 2 of its former executives are facing federal criminal charges in connection to an opioid case. Rochester Drug Cooperative in New York is accused of illegally distributing tens of millions of oxycodone and fentanyl products and conspiring to defraud the DEA.
Why did they do it? The answer is greed. During the period alleged in the indictment, RDC generated $1.2 billion of revenues from the sale of controlled substances.
The company agreed to pay $20 million over 5 years to settle the case. Well, for these unique rock climbers, no mountain is too high. An inspiring story next. A rock climbing gym in California is doing things a bit differently. With what's called adaptive rock climbing, they allow people with disabilities to take part in the sport. Tatiana Crenshaw, who was born with cerebral palsy and suffers from social anxiety, says it makes her feel like more than a disabled child. Inside the gym, there are no disabilities, limitations, or labels. Everyone is a climber. Well, that looks like fun.
I like that, yeah.
It's a good idea.
No doubt. Looks like a lot of fun climbing your way up there at your own pace. Why not, right?
Absolutely.
The weather at your own pace this weekend? Nah, we don't want that pace at all, I don't think. We'll enjoy tomorrow, though. 60s, but still 70s in south central North Dakota. But it's the rain. That's what we need with all the burn bans going on. We could use a soaking, maybe not a big soaking, but a light, steady rain over a couple of days starting this weekend.
Yeah, that'll definitely help out.
And a little bit of snow, too.
Yeah, we'll take it, I guess.
I guess.
Thanks so much. Have a good night.